I've been telling people that my garden is a raised bed. This entire beautiful spot that I keep showing people is a raised bed, and on top of that raised bed, I've placed other raised beds. But if you, I'm behind the scenes right now, and you're going to see here. Here are some metal containers that I've used for raised beds. But before I started using the metal, I was using wood, and you can see the step up into my garden. If I can get down to it, the step up into my garden right there. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Maybe a 2x8. I'm not sure. I'll measure it. But that is holding the dirt on which this whole part of the garden is built. And then when you get into I step up and get into the garden, you see that I have other raised beds built or established or created on top of the raised beds, where I'm growing things like lavender and other plants that need especially good drainage. But even though in the woven, wooden woven stuff here is called wattle. That's been used at least since medieval times to create various heights of fencing, and they even used it to make obelisks and other supports. But so the raised beds in the flower area, I've kind of camouflaged the front of them with this wattle, and then I've also placed other things in front of them, in front of the wattle. Like this particular area is my herb garden. Herb, I never know quite how to say that, whether it's herb or herb. I think the jury's still out. But back here, I have, this is my sundial, and I have a couple of different kinds of very special iris growing back here. That iris is a native iris, native to Mississippi. And so I'm going to establish that all across here. We see sage, chamomile, calendula, marigold. Calendula is a kind of marigold, or marigold's a kind of calendula. I don't know what you'd say. Now, you may think that, whoa, what is that? That's morning glory. Well, this is morning glory, but this is morning glory on steroids. This is the old heirloom morning glory. It's called Heavenly Blue, and it will have gorgeous, big, gorgeous blue blooms. Oh, late summer, about the time the rudbeckias come out. And then I have, there's Spanish lavender in there. It's not really doing so great. But I actually am a kitchen gardener. I'm a cottage gardener, and I'm the kind of cottage gardener that I think people ought to be. And you're going to see a lot of trash in there where this is a working video. But in this little area right here, well, I have grapes growing back there on that little support. And in this little wicker or woven support, I have tomato growing. So I grow, and kale is absolutely a gorgeous plant when it's growing. It's all over my garden. Kale, and then let me show you something neat. Okay, this area is hiding an air conditioner. It's something I did the first day I was here. I can't stand to look at the air conditioner units in my garden. But anyway, so I created this little fenced area And then I built this little extension to the fence to house my jessamine, my Carolina jessamine, and lo and behold, a pumpkin that I planted last year decided, whoa, that's a good place for me. And so it's just growing right up that, and you can see, it loves it here. And the reason I didn't really get much in the way of pumpkins last year, but there are a couple little pumpkins on this vine, and the reason is because this year I have planted all these pollinators. Now here I dry roses and make potpourri and sachets, and this is a fragrant rose. I have to think a minute what. Earth Angel, perfume of Earth Angel, and back there's Louise Odier. Over there I have Claire Austin growing up that arbor over there, but it's really has made one little. I just planted those this spring, so in fact I just planted Louise Odier and this perfume just 2 days ago maybe. So they're young. Oh, back there you see the if I can get the camera to focus, you could see, well, if I can get around to it, baby pumpkins coming up here. And let me get up there, get up to it. These are native, or I don't know whether they're native, but they're heirloom chrysanthemums that unbelievable, hardy chrysanthemums that are unbelievable. They not only are hardy, there you see the little pumpkin back there, little pumpkins. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get around this leaf. Okay, that's a little pumpkin. So anyway, that's what I mean when I say that my garden is a raised bed on top of a raised bed.
Even before the Renaissance, there were formal and structured gardens on the large European estates. But by the time of the Renaissance, gardens became part of the European commoner lifestyle too. Perhaps because of the plague, the commoners needed places to grow healthy foods for themselves. When that happened, the commoners began growing small gardens around their modest homes or cottages. These early medieval cottage gardens were practical ones. The primary focus of the medieval garden was that of growing herbs, medicinal plants, a few animals for meats and eggs, and beehives to produce honey. Flowers were not added to the cottage garden until later. During the 1800s, people had also begun growing flowers in their cottage gardens. Calendulas and primroses were among the earliest flowers grown in the cottage gardens, but they were considered to be practical plants because they were used for cooking. Even today, calendulas are considered to be herbs, and in 2008, the National Herb Association named the calendula the Herb of the Year. Because of its intensely bright yellow hue, the calendula is used to color broths and other dishes too.
I should have shown you this side of my garden too. I've been focusing so much on that beauty spot, but this sort of furthers the comment that I am a vegetable garden. This whole side is, I've planted celery, Kale has been growing here, and I have lettuce. In fact, I've let this lettuce go to seed because I love the blooms. It looks like little yellow Queen Anne's lace or something. It's a gorgeous bloom to me. So don't be hung up about what's a traditional, I never have heard anybody talk about how beautiful lettuce leaves are, but to me they're beautiful. And I see I have aphids. I have aphids right here. And that's just, but the thing is, aphids won't be satisfied. They're going to be all over this area. So I'm going to have to get out here and do something. I try to be an organic gardener and not use any chemicals. But you see, there are more raised beds going this other direction. Another thing I want to talk about is the tunnel, or the system of tunnels that I've created. See, I have one started over here. There's one, you can see this tunnel right here. I grow roses on one side of the tunnels, and I grow green beans and tomatoes on the other side of the tunnels. Green beans and flowers aren't great friends because the nitrogen in green beans make the flower produce the green leaves, but they don't really encourage, so the flower focuses on making greenery and not blooms. So I keep my green beans and my flowers separated. I'm real proud of this area. These are my sunflowers that my birds planted. I have bird feeders all over my garden, and I started out with this one, and so the birds eat the sunflowers seeds, and then they drop probably more than they eat, and so now I have this wonderful series of sunflowers growing. Now I'm at the very back of one part of my garden. In this area, I said that I grew flowers on one side of these little tunnels, and I grow the green beans and tomatoes on the other. I have a fence that I've put up next to the tunnel, but I also have created bean teepees, and I have a video on how to create these bean teepees. Hey everybody, I'm in my garden this morning, and I'm gonna show, first of all, these are the raised beds that I use. My entire garden is a raised bed, but I'm gonna show you how I'm going to build a bean teepee that will also be a super duper tomato cage, using some bamboo poles, a very heavy duty tall tomato cage, and a little glass bottle. Let me see if I can find the glass bottle. There it is. This one is Mike's lemonade bottle. On this one, you see I have a jelly jar. So you can use any number of little containers. The bean teepee is turned upside down and is buried in the ground. The dirt is going to help you support your bean teepees. Otherwise, I mean your bamboo poles, otherwise they just want to flop everywhere. But the main support is going to be this this tomato cage, which is just perfect it's almost a bean teepee right now. I'm going to start off by putting the bottle over the tips and joining the tips at the top. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, now I have completed phase 2. I have the little the little bottle attached or placed on top of the 4 prongs of the tomato cage, and I've inserted them inside, pulled the bottle down, and this is just as snug as it can be now. And I've also attached, I use garden florist wire every day, all day in my garden and everything else that I do. It's my main tool. I've attached, there are 4 ribs on this tomato cage, and I've attached with the tomato wire, and I'll try to show you what technique I used later, but anyway, to the 4 prongs, and now so I've got over and under and woven the technique so that I've used an over and under, kind of a weaving. It's actually called lashing. I was a big Girl Scout, and this is lashing with wire. I've lashed the bamboo poles at 1 at each of the ribs of the tomato cage. Voila! I've sort of woven with wire. I tried to arrange the poles at the top so that they were every other one coming from different direction. And now the bean pole and super duper tomato cage are ready for whatever I throw at it, which will be Kentucky Wonder beans. And the tomato inside this particular cage is a sun gold tomato. In the back along the fence, I've placed Super Sweet 100, I think that's the name of it. And they have a big fence to grow along. And if I need to later to add extra height, I'll build another little half of a semicircular bean pole there to allow that tomato to reach the height that this tomato's able to reach, and it won't go, but the beans do go that, almost that high.